You just opened up your investment app this morning, and that one stock that you truly believed in, it's not down 10%, it's not recovering, but it's gone, delisted, poof, out of thin air. And that money that you invested in it, it's now only worth a fraction of what it was when you first invested. If you've ever had that specific kind of sick feeling in your stomach, then you already know exactly what I'm talking about. Tonight, I'm going to show you what delisting actually means and what your options are starting right now. We could take the exact steps to turn that painful investment into a moment of smarter financial future starting today. Stay with me, because what I'm about to walk you through could save you from making the most expensive mistake most Canadian investors make in the first 48 hours after a stock gets delisted. Let me give you the honest picture of what's happening in Canadian investment markets right now. Stock delistings have been increasing across North America exchanges since 2024. According to the TMX Group, which operates the Toronto Stock Exchange and the TSX Venture Exchange, there were hundreds of voluntary and involuntary delistings across Canadian exchanges in 2025 alone. Many of them were small to mid-cap companies in the tech, cannabis, and junior mining sectors that attracted everyday Canadian retail investors looking for growth opportunities outside of the traditional index investing. And here's what most Canadian investors never get told before buying into these companies. TSX Venture Exchange in particular lists thousands of early stage companies with high growth potential and equally high failure rates. That's what we don't talk about. When these companies cannot meet the exchange's continued listings requirements around share price minimums, financial reporting, or market capitalization, they get delisted. Sometimes with warning, often without, for everyday investors to react in time. The result is that thousands of Canadian families in 2026 are sitting on positions in companies that no longer trade on major exchanges and have absolutely no idea what to do next. First, let me clear something up, because this is where most people panic and they make expensive decisions based on incomplete information. Delisting does not automatically mean that your shares are worth zero. It means the company's shares can no longer be bought and sold on that specific exchange. Depending on the situation, your shares may still have value, and there may still be options available to you that most retail investors never even explore because nobody explains it to them clearly. There's generally three scenarios when a stock gets delisted. First, it's voluntary delisting. The company chose to delist, often because it's going private, being acquired, or moving to a different exchange. In this case, shareholders are typically bought out at a negotiable price or given shares in the acquired company. This is actually the best case scenario, believe it or not, and often results in shareholders being fairly compensated. The second scenario is involuntary delisting due to financial distress. The company failed to meet the exchange's requirements because it's genuinely struggling financially. This is the most common scenario for Canadian retail investors in 2026, and it is the one that requires the most careful and strategic response. The last scenario is a regulatory delisting. The company was removed due to compliance or regulatory issues. This scenario carries additional complexity and sometimes legal considerations that go beyond standard investment recovery. Understanding which scenario that you're in is the most important first step, and it determines every decision that comes after it. Let me show you exactly what this looks like with a real situation I worked through with a client. He was 38 years old, mortgage of $520,000, 2 kids, combined household income of $130,000. He's been investing mostly in ETFs, but with about $22,000 spread across 3 individual stocks, he had researched himself and believed in strongly. One of those stocks was a TSX Venture listed tech company that he had been holding for 2 solid years. He'd invested $8,400 into it at various points throughout the years. When the delisting notice came through, his position was worth approximately $1,200. He'd lost over $7,000 on that single position. And his first instinct, it was to sell whatever was left immediately and put the remaining $1,200 somewhere safer. But before he did anything, we took a sit down. We looked at the full picture together. The delisting was involuntary, but the company was still operating and still generating some type of revenue. The shares were moving to the OTC market, which means they could still be traded, just not on the main exchange that we all know. We looked at whether claiming the capital loss on his taxes made more sense than holding the potential recovery. We reviewed the other 2 stocks in his portfolio and found that one of them had unrealized gains of $4,100, which could be strategically offset against that loss. The tax loss harvesting move alone saved him approximately $1,800 in taxes based on his marginal rates. That's the money that stayed in his family's pocket instead of going to the CRA. Because we looked at the full picture and made a strategic decision instead of an emotional one. He'd never got his $7,000 back, but he turned a painful loss into a strategic financial move that actually strengthened his overall portfolio position in 2026. Let me walk you through numbers clearly so you can apply this to your own situation right now. If you're holding a delisted stock with a capital loss, then there's a specific CRA rule called the superficial loss rule that you need to understand before you make any other moves. If you sell a losing position and buy the same or identical security back within 30 days, before or after the sale, the CRA will deny your capital loss claim. That is an expensive mistake that catches thousands of Canadian investors every single year. Here's what the math actually looks like on a tax loss harvesting strategy for a Canadian investor in 2026. If you have a realized capital loss of $7,000 in a non-registered account, you can use that loss to offset capital gains elsewhere in your portfolio in that same year, the 3 prior years, or carry it forward indefinitely into future years. At a marginal tax rate of 43%, which applies to many dual income Ontario families in the $130,000 combined income range, a $7,000 capital loss offsetting $7,000 in capital gains will save your family about $1,500 in taxes. That's not nothing. That's a mortgage payment, 4 months of groceries. That's the money that stays with your family because you made the strategic decision instead of an emotional one in the 48 hours after a painful investment moment. Here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. Nobody teaches Canadian families how to handle investment losses. We get told to buy and hold, diversify, and think long term. But nobody sits down with you and explains what to actually do. But nobody sits down with you and explains what to actually do when something goes wrong. Because the financial industry makes more money when you're confused and emotional than when you're calm and strategic. You didn't make a stupid decision by investing in an individual stock. You made a human decision to try and build something better for you and your family. So congratulations for that. You're on the right path. The loss is real and it hurts. But the loss, it doesn't have to be the end of the story. How you respond to it in the next 30 days determines whether this becomes an expensive lesson or a strategic pivot that actually accelerates your financial trajectory. You deserve to have someone in your corner who looks at your full picture, not just one painful position, and helps you make the smartest possible move with what you already have right now. So here's exactly what to do starting right now if you're holding a delisted stock. First, don't panic sell in the first 48 hours. Emotional decisions made in the immediate aftermath of a delisting almost always cost more than their strategic decision made with a clear head 72 hours later. Second, find out exactly which delisting scenario you're in. Check the company's investor relations page, the CDAR Plus filling database, and the cdarplus.ca, and your brokerage platform for any official communications about the delisting reason and what your options are. Third, check whether your shares have moved to the OTC market. If they have, you may still be able to sell them. The liquidity will be lower and the spreads will be wider, but the option may still exist. Number 4, talk to a tax professional or financial advisor before you sell anything in a non-registered account. The capital loss may be more valuable to your overall tax situation than you realize, and the timing of when you claim it matters enormously. And number 5, review your entire portfolio in light of this experience. Not to make dramatic changes, but to honestly assess whether your current investment strategy matches your actual risk tolerance, your mortgage obligation, your family timeline, and your real financial goals this year in 2026. If you're sitting on a delisted stock right now, or if this video made you realize that your investment strategy has some gaps that your family cannot actually afford, then I want to have an honest conversation. So if you're sitting on a delisted stock right now, or this video made you realize that your investment strategy has some gaps that your family cannot afford, then I want to have one honest conversation with you. It's not a pitch. It's not a sales call. It's just a free clarity call where we take a look at your actual numbers together, figure out the smartest move to your specific situation, and make sure that one painful investment moment does not become a pattern that costs your family far more than it needed to. The link is right here in the description below. Book your free clarity call today and let us turn this pivot into the smartest financial move that you made all year. I look forward to talking with you.